The Curse of Geb, the Heartbeat of the Earth. Chapter 1. The First Cry of the Earth. In the age before time, before the first pharaohs, before even the sun sailed across the sky, there was only silence. Ra, the great creator, looked upon the void and spoke the first command. Let there be balance. Let the sky and earth be born. And so, Geb emerged. His body became the land, his breath formed the winds, his heart pumped the rivers. Above him, Nut stretched across the sky, her skin glittering with the first stars. For an eternity they held each other, two halves of the same soul. But Ra, seeing their embrace, frowned. If they remain one, nothing else can be. So he summoned Shu, god of air, and commanded him to separate them. Shu forced them apart. Nut was lifted high into the heavens, her sorrow becoming the night's eternal whispers. Geb was pressed down, his cries buried beneath stone and sand. And so, the first earthquake was born, the cry of a broken heart. But Geb did not give up. Even as time passed, he trembled, he roared, he reached for her. And whenever the earth shook, the people whispered, "The earth is trying to touch the sky again." Chapter 2. The Forgotten God's Call. 1,000 years passed. The people of Egypt built great temples to the gods of the sky and sun. They worshipped Ra, Osiris, and Isis, but they forgot the earth beneath them. Yet one girl still listened to the whispers of the land. Nefret. Born under a rare celestial alignment, she was raised as a priestess in Thebes, destined to serve the temple of Isis. But she felt something different. While others listened for the gods above, she felt something stirring below. One night, as she walked along the Nile, her hands brushing against the sand, she heard it. "Do you hear me?" First she thought it was the wind. But then the earth beneath her feet trembled, just slightly. And then, a voice rumbled from the depths. You can hear me." Her breath caught in her throat. For the first time in centuries, Geb had found someone who could listen. Chapter 3. The Prophecy of the Earth. That night, Geb spoke of a forgotten prophecy. "I have been silenced, buried beneath the sands of time. But you can bring me back. You must speak for me. You must call to Nut on my behalf." Nefret's eyes widened. Call to Nut. Speak to the sky itself. But how? And Geb whispered the answer. Deep beneath the sands in the ruins of a lost temple lies the tears of Nut, a sacred relic of divine power. If you find it, you can open a path between earth and sky. But this would not go unnoticed. Because if the balance was broken, the gods would intervene. If you do this, Geb warned, Ra will try to stop you. And he was right. Chapter 4. The Betrayal of the Priests. Determined, Nefret searched for the hidden relic. For months, she followed the whispers of the land, the signs in the stars. Until, deep beneath a forgotten temple in the desert, she found the tear of Nut, a gemstone pulsing with an otherworldly glow. The moment she touched it, the earth trembled violently. And far above, in the celestial halls of the gods, Ra opened his golden eyes. She must be stopped. Ra's priests, sensing the disturbance, followed her. And one night they came for her. She was dragged before the high priest, accused of heresy and treason. "You have turned from the gods. You seek to awaken a buried force that was never meant to rise." But Nefret did not kneel. "You worship the sky and sun, but you forget the earth beneath you. You call Geb silent, but I hear him. He has never stopped speaking. And I will be his voice." For her defiance, she was sentenced to death. Chained and exiled, she was abandoned in the heart of the desert, left to die beneath the scorching sun. But this was not the end. Chapter 5. The Immortal Tree and the Wrath of Geb. As her last breath escaped her lips, the earth roared. The sands shifted. The sky darkened. And Geb awakened. "You have taken the only soul who listened." At that moment, the temples of Ra trembled. The rivers swelled. The mountains cracked. But Geb's power was not just destruction. It was rebirth. And so, he took Nefret's soul and transformed her. She became an immortal tree. Her roots burrowed deep, binding to Geb's heart. Her branches stretched high, reaching for Nut's embrace. This was the first sacred tree, the bridge between earth and sky. And whenever the wind blows, its leaves whisper Nefret's final words. "I am here, Geb. I hear you." From that day forward, the people of Egypt knew. The earth is not silent. It is the heartbeat of a love lost in time. Epilogue, the hidden legacy. Centuries passed. Pharaohs rose and fell. The tear of Nut was hidden away by Ra's priests, buried beneath layers of time. But the legend endured. And even today, deep in the heart of the desert, when the wind rustles through an ancient gnarled tree, some say it still whispers a forgotten name. Nefret, the voice of the earth. And when the earth trembles, the people still whisper. Geb is reaching for Nut once more. Story 2. Geb and Nut. The eternal love of separation. In the earliest days of creation before the world took shape, everything was a chaotic whole. There was no distinction between the sky and the earth, no light, no wind, just an endless embrace between two divine beings. Geb, the god of the earth, and Nut, the goddess of the sky. They were inseparable, their love so strong that they clung to each other, leaving no space between them. In their embrace, the world lay in darkness, untouched by the sun or the wind. And for a time they were happy, lost in their endless love. But one God was not pleased. Ra, the great creator and ruler of all, looked down upon the world and saw that no life could flourish while Geb and Nut remained locked in their eternal embrace. Ra's decree, a love torn apart. Ra, in his wisdom, decreed that order must be established, that the earth and sky must be separated so that light could shine upon the world and life could take root. With a voice that shook existence itself, Ra commanded, "The sky must rise, and the earth must remain below. They must part, or the world will never thrive." To carry out his will, Shu, the god of air, was sent to force them apart. Shu arrived with all his strength, pressing his mighty hands against Nut's body and lifting her high above. Nut gasped, reaching for Geb, but she was being pulled away. Geb cried out in agony, his fingers clawing at the air, trying desperately to hold on to his beloved. But Shu was relentless. Slowly, inevitably, he pushed Nut higher and higher until there was a vast space between them. Geb fell to the ground, his heart shattered. Nut, now high above, looked down at him with sorrow, unable to return to his embrace. Geb's sorrow, the cry of the earth. As Nut drifted above, forever beyond his reach, Geb wept. His grief seeped into the land, breaking the earth apart. Mountains rose, cracked by his sorrow. Rivers formed, flowing endlessly with his tears. Whenever his pain became unbearable, the ground trembled. Earthquakes shook the land as he yearned for his lost love. Nut too suffered. She longed for Geb, but the vast emptiness between them was unbridgeable. Her tears fell from the heavens, descending as rain, kissing the earth in soft whispers of love. But even their tears could not bring them together. Nut's gift. A message in the stars. Alone in the sky, Nut searched for a way to send her love to Geb. And so, she created the stars. Each night, she lit the heavens with thousands of tiny lights, each one a whisper of her love, a silent promise to Geb. "I am always with you, even when we are apart." When Geb gazed up at the stars, he saw Nut's love shining down upon him. And when a shooting star fell to the earth, it was Nut's attempt to reach for him, a fleeting moment when they could almost touch. The cycle of love. A divine balance. Ra saw that despite his decree, Geb and Nut's love endured. Yet he would not allow them to reunite, for the world needed balance. So he established a sacred order. Nut would give birth to the sun each morning. At dawn, her light would warm the earth, caressing Geb with golden rays. The sunrise was Nut's way of reaching out, filling his world with her warmth. At night, Nut would return in darkness, revealing her love through the stars. Each night, as Geb lay beneath her, he would feel her presence in the glittering sky. During eclipses, when the sky turned dark in the middle of the day, it was said that Geb and Nut briefly touched, an impossible but beautiful reunion. And so, the cycle of time began. The days and nights, the seasons, the rain and the wind, all were echoes of their undying love. A love that transcends eternity. Though separated by fate, Geb and Nut never stopped loving one another. The people of Egypt told their story for generations. They believed that when the earth trembled, it was Geb straining to reach Nut. When the rain fell, it was Nut's tears of love for Geb. And every night, when they looked up at the stars, they saw the silent love letters Nut sent to the earth. Though they could never embrace again, their love remained eternal, written in the sky and whispered in the winds. And so, the love of Geb and Nut lived on, not in their touch, but in the world itself.